The night shift as a janitor at the school I used to work in was always eerily quiet and never the good kind. The long, dimly lit hallways echoed with the slightest sound, and the shadows seemed to dance just beyond the reach of my flashlight. I'd heard rumors that someone was murdered there long ago, but whenever my shift came, I'd always hoped the rumors were nothing more than jokes meant to scare the little children there. I would soon find out just exactly what was behind the evil that lived in that school. It was past midnight, and a blizzard had blanketed the town in snow. It was wintertime, so getting that weather was alright. The school was empty of everyone except me, which I deeply enjoyed since I liked being alone, for the most part. As I mopped the floors of the gymnasium, I heard a noise, a locker slamming shut in the boys' changing room. Thinking it was just the wind, or perhaps the building setting, I continued my work. Hearing subtle noises every now and then was something you had to get used to when working in that school. Everything was at least a couple decades old. But then it came again, louder this time, followed by the unmistakable sound of footsteps. Bare footsteps, to be specific, and abnormal ones at that. Curiosity overcame my initial hesitation, and I made my way to the changing room. I thought that if there was someone there, it'd likely be some kids playing pranks or doing some dare that required them to stay after school. The door creaked open, revealing rows of lockers and benches. The boys' changing room looked creepy, and I could feel a tension in the air that told me I should leave and get out of there. But I had to check and see, at least to settle my mind on the matter. Nothing seemed amiss until I saw it, a figure hunched over and rummaging through a locker. It was too large to be a student, its movements too deliberate. It made these gasping noises that sounded like it was difficult for the thing to breathe, and its body looked veiny and muscly. It was definitely not a person, and if it was, that person had to have been hit by a truck several times over and then boiled in hot water. "Hey," I called out, my voice echoing off the tiled walls. "School's closed, you shouldn't be here." The figure stopped and slowly turned towards me. Every second of that moment filled me with unbearable dread as I realized the mistake I'd made. My heart sank as I met its gaze. Its eyes were a deep, unnatural color that might have been red, and its face, it wasn't human. It was as if someone had crudely stitched various animalistic features onto a person's face. It seemed to be an amalgamation of a bunch of unsettling looking things. The creature let out a guttural growl, a sound that chilled me to the bone. I stumbled backward, my mind racing. It rushed forward at me, moving faster than I could have ever expected. I had to get out and call for help, but the creature blocked the only exit. It opened its mouth, and out came voices of little children, all calling out to me to come closer. I figured that the creature must live in some secluded part of the school where it spied on children and learned to mimic their voice. It took a step towards me, and I did the only thing I could think of. I threw my mop at it and ran. I darted through the hallways, the creature's footsteps thundering behind me. I could hear its ragged breathing, feel its presence looming ever closer. I reached the main entrance and fumbled with the keys. The creature was almost upon me when the door swung open and I tumbled out into the snow. I didn't stop running until I reached the main road, where I flagged down a passing car. The driver must have seen the terror in my eyes, because he didn't hesitate to call the police. In ragged breaths, I tried to explain what I saw, but the panic in me wouldn't allow for the explanation to be completed. But when the police finally searched the school, they found nothing. No sign of forced entry, no strange footprints, nothing out of place. I quit my job the next day. I couldn't bring myself to step foot in that school again, especially not at night. People say I imagined it, that it was just the stress of the job. But I know what I saw. I feel bad for whoever else has to be the janitor of that place. Couldn't be me. Could never be me again. Hope you enjoyed that story, and I'll see you in the next one. See you on the flip side.